I'm Blake Silberman. That's B-L-A-K-E, S-I-L, B as in boy, E-R-M-A-N. A new development has occurred. What's that? We need to go kind of quick because I'm going to be putting ice on there. So like when I do it, it goes out and it goes down.
Say hello. Hello. Thumbs up.
Guess what? We got people fucking These two guys are like the brothers that are building something great.
The way that this started off was, I had just moved back to LA after living out in Washington State for a while. I was eating lunch down at Paradise Cove with Bob Morris, talking to him about ideas that I had for the future. Having a restaurant where the menu is set daily, anywhere from 10 to 20 courses. I wanted to have a garden that provided a lot of the produce for the restaurant. I think that this restaurant needs to be in just a gorgeous location. I want people to be able to be transported from their kind of normal day-to-day grind of their life in the city to something like a little mini vacation. They could come out somewhere that you don't necessarily think of Los Angeles. You come out here and you think you're out in nature, out in the hills. I know that in the city of Los Angeles, kind of in the city part of it, there's not really much location. After speaking with Bob, he recommended that I come up and meet the guys at Calamigos Ranch. They weren't really sure about what my idea was. Bob pretty much just said, hey, you should meet with this guy. I think he's got a cool idea. The idea behind it was just, I worked at this place up in Washington, and I've always really enjoyed all of these style of restaurants that are in a more natural area than Las Vegas or Los Angeles. There's nothing really like that in Los Angeles or Malibu, really, to that extent.
There's great restaurants, and
there's great restaurants. And by the end of our 2-hour conversation, just instantly fell in love with it. Garner was extremely excited. Paolo and Val, you could just see all of their minds just ticking away at just the possibilities.
Sitting here listening to you talk, and I can envision fast forwarding 5 years when we have the accolades that we desire, and you're like 50 pounds heavier, you know what I mean? and like super.
Yeah, right. No way. Of course, they needed to see the food and the concept, and so I did a tasting for them down at the Beach Club. We did a tasting for 27 people and did 9 courses. Blast. Everyone seemed to enjoy everything. That was the first time they ever actually saw me cook, and that was probably a month and a half after we met and decided that we wanted to do this.
Amazing. Some of the youngest, most talented young chefs, sous chefs that you could ever imagine coming together for one night. This is amazing. I know my food.
This won't make it in, but because he didn't like it, we'll probably have to put it in.
Yeah, just don't show my mom the video.
Right.
That's it. All right. Well, you wanted a mean face, right?
Perfect.
For the tasting, I had a great crew with me. I had Chris out there with me.
Yeah, maybe. But you want to go out there? Especially. Yeah.
And then On the day of the tasting, I had a couple of my other close buddies come in who I've worked with before. Josh, he was my roommate and co-worker up at the Willows Inn up on Lummies.
One per two people, just like the bread, and they're onion espresso caramels with puffed black rice.
And then I had James, who is like my older brother.
So it's gonna be 3 slices. It's gonna be like one, 2, 3, 4, right? Staggered. Okay.
And then there was Chef Ricardo.
Ricardo gets a little nervous on camera, I'll say that right now. But the genius.
He came down and brought 2 of his guys with him. They were just instantly on board with anything that needed to be done. And they're huge helps at every corner. So the name of the restaurant is going to be Mama G's, and that's a tribute to Garner's grandmother, who is known as Mama G. The menus are going to be changing constantly. There could be dishes that are being changed daily. There could be a dish that was on for a couple weeks and now we ran out of a certain product and that dish is no longer there. If your first time eating was in, summer or spring, your dining experience is going to be completely different from when you're eating towards, fall and winter.
I went to that restaurant, Francis.
Francis Garner.
When it was 1 star. Back
Oh,
then.
sick.
And he was telling us that his menu was designed after like the great wars of Italy.
Garner had come up with this great idea about incorporating the story of California into the restaurant. And I've kind of said from the beginning, I don't really want to do a hyper-local restaurant. I'd like to just have it incorporate all of California because I think there's just so much variety. I mean, you go south and you start getting guavas and papayas and you can start looking into the Mexican culture that was there, even just because they're right next to Mexico. So there are all those delicious, flavor profiles that are coming from there, and then you move up north and you start getting into, the redwood forest. And then the history of California has just been such a melting pot, You go back to the natives that were here and how they survived. What did they make? What did they eat? What were they eating? What were they cooking? What were they hunting for back in the gold rush? What were they looking for during the Great Depression? There was nothing. How did they deal with that? There's just so much history here that kind of revolves around food that we're really going to try to pull from that.